All right, we're back with Al and Will this time, and we're going to chat about the Subaru Forester Sport.
The Forester Sport.
Forester Sport.
Okay, so in other words, it's got lots of red on it.
And a sport badge somewhere.
Yeah, correct. But you know, I said this earlier.
2.5 litre engine though.
Yeah,
that's quite
it
big in
has.
today's terms.
But of course, the Subaru Boxer four-cylinder with no turbo, interestingly.
But it was peppy.
Yeah,
it
no,
was
look,
peppy.
but hang on, it's got 136 kilowatts,
Correct.
which is not bad. 239 newton meters.
Yeah, down at the coast. We're
Yeah.
We're not
Okay,
at
so
the coast,
here you
but-
lose what 17% or something.
somewhere around about that.
But whatever it is, look, a bit more torque would always be nice, and put a turbo on, you'd up the torque more than necessarily the kilowatts. But it's not lacking.
Absolutely. Not.
The sport moniker is a mockery, I'm sorry to say, and but it's been done a million times. It's not.
Subaru are not the first.
Yeah.
They will not be the last.
No, look, the first great example had to be way back, and I owned one, 1979, the Ford Escort 1600 Sport, which they put a free flow
I
exhaust.
didn't want to say it started with Ford, but yes, Ford.
They
have
put a
been doing
free
sport
flow
for a long
exhaust.
time.
That was the one big mechanical change.
Yes.
They then put stripes on the bodywork,
Yes.
and they put cloth seats with stripes inside, and a smaller steering wheel.
And everyone has been doing that ever since.
And it still only had 64 kilowatts, if I remember correctly, from that 1.6 litre Kent engine.
Back then, that was a lot.
It was either 55 or 64. Please don't call me a liar for that. But anyhow, what I'm getting at is that was the first Sport.
So now we have.
And you remember how those sold?
well, and
Oh,
now,
hang on. I forgot. And they put the front fog lights on. It had the fog lights on the front.
you may be right. You're talking about the square Escort, the rectangular box.
That's
the one.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
that
yes.
was the
Yes. Now you're going way back in.
1979 it was launched.
I don't think I was even
Yeah.
born.
And you want to know something ridiculous? I got one brand new in middle of 1979
Yes.
for the princely
I don't
brand
want to
new
know.
price of just under 4,500 rand.
I was going to say $350, and then you overpaid. But you know,
Anyhow, that's got
so
nothing to do with
fast
the
forward,
Subaru. Yeah.
fast forward to 2022,
Right.
where we now actually are talking
Okay.
about a Subaru
So the Forester,
Sport.
the standard models have the 2-litre engine.
Yeah, so we at
Although-
least have we've gone up in engine capacity,
There
which
is
is
a
nice.
top model as well that does
Sure.
use the 2.5, but this is the entry 2.5. Can I call it that one? Okay. I mean, you go down to 115 kilowatts in the 2-litre version.
Yeah,
But you know, that's not what Subaru is about.
no,
Subaru is about, in my video review, please watch it, you will see that I said, you know what, this is not an SUV. This is actually a station wagon.
it is.
Maybe slightly raised body, but it ain't an SUV.
In my mind, the Forester's always been a station wagon,
Yeah,
and it finds itself on that sort of tipping point between crossing over from a station wagon
Yeah.
to an SUV.
Correct, yeah.
And but Subaru has also been fairly quirky in terms of how they do things. So it's not unexpected that they would pitch a car that's an SUV crossover, hatchback crossover, sedan crossover, whatever you want to call it. It's the Japanese equivalent of Alfa Romeo, I think.
Yeah, not a bad comparison.
They have
Yeah,
their own
not bad.
little
Their
Subaru way of
ways,
doing
yeah,
things,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
And you're either part of it or you're not. And I think you made the point in the video that Subaru owners tend to remain owners.
Correct. Apparently,
just
they have one
drive
of the
their cars.
highest
Retention
retention rates in the industry. I'm quoting what I've read.
Which
I
I can-
don't know for sure.
which I can believe. And
Of
I
course,
mean,
the cynics will say that's because you can't get a trade-in from anyone else.
but if you apply the same thing to Alpha, I mean, you look at it. I think Alpha's losing all the aficionados, or what do they call them, the Alfissi, because the Alphas are becoming reliable. Bits aren't falling off. There aren't engines exploding all over the place.
No, come on, not anymore.
Is that
That-
really an Alpha? No,
that was
if it
then.
doesn't do that, it's no
That
longer
was
an Alpha.
then. This is now.
And
So Subaru, there's that.
Yes.
There's also, they've got that reputation. Can I call it the roughy tufty, if that makes sense?
and certainly sporty.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
they-
leave
they own
the
that.
sporty off
Yeah.
for now. I'm talking about the roughy tufty, as in they've got that asymmetrical all-wheel drive,
Yes.
which is standard on pretty much
Which
every
everything-
car they build.
Yeah.
So in other words, you can go off the beaten track.
Yes.
And that's what I mean by the roughy tufty.
Yes.
You're not going to mess it up by
Yes.
going down a dirt road or
Yes.
whatever. You can't go 4x4ing in it. but you can certainly go off the beaten track. So it appeals to the adventurer.
Exactly.
It appeals to that kind of guy.
They've always struck me as being tough.
Yeah.
Hardy.
Yeah.
Hardy is the word. Yeah. In other words, a vehicle that you can not abuse, but you can certainly hammer.
But you don't have to wrap it in cotton wool.
Exactly. It's built to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll handle it and keep coming back for us.
Correct.
And the engine, their Boxer engine, is just them, and it's again, as you said, they're the alpha of Japan or whatever. They've got to have their uniqueness.
Stupidly reliable.
Yeah, but they've got now the two things. It's the all-wheel drive and that are like, boom, that's what you get when you buy our brand. And don't come and look for anything else.
Yeah, that's it.
But overall, the other thing they've got, and they were one of the first, although others have caught up, was what they term their Eyesight technology.
Yes.
Okay, which was active braking, active cruise control, all those sort of things, but it's all in one package again.
Yes.
And as I say, I drove one of their cars about 3 years ago with this technology.
Yes.
And where theirs is amazing, I've got to tell you, if you get the one with the full Eyesight suite, which often is only the top models, but not the point. Do you know that if you can use that cruise control in traffic?
Yes.
And you come along, the robot's red, it will automatically stop behind the car in front, and it will pull off when the car pulls off. Now, I'm sure other brands have got this, but not many.
BMW had exactly the same thing. And what was interesting about it was that it is speed time sensitive.
Yes.
So you can actually put the BMW in auto mode at 120 k's an hour on the highway, take your hands off the wheel, and it will drive where the highway is actually.
Correct.
It's still got lane markings on itself.
Yeah, but
For
look,
about 30 seconds before it tells you to put your hands back on the wheel. If you're in traffic, it'll allow you to do that for up to 3 minutes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Before it then says put your hands on the wheel.
Okay, I have tested the BMW. I had the X5 M50D. Yeah, the big brother, okay?
Which would have everything. Yes.
It had the lot.
Yes.
And we were down on the south coast.
Yes.
And you know the road, South Coast Road that leads back towards Durban?
Yes.
Lovely sweeping.
Yeah.
In my video, way back on my channel, you'll find it. I'm sitting like this.
Should have had an M3.
And doing that, obviously for X period before you have to grab the wheel again. But I'm actually literally sitting, but look, you're bringing in lane departure, lane keep, lane assist, blah, blah, all those ones with it, where it literally follows
the road. Yeah.
And we're talking sweeps. So, but that's not the Subaru, so let's not.
Funny enough, just in that technology, the other car that we drove that's got exactly the same thing is the Land Cruiser.
Yes.
Now, if you take your hands off the wheel for long enough, the Land Cruiser actually stops the car. It brakes the car, puts it to a complete stop.
Excuse me, what's your problem?
I was waiting for it to actually turn off the engine, put on the hazards, and then lock you in the car for a little while to make you think about what you're doing.
Okay, let's get back to this Forester Sport. So now you've got a lot of
Eyesight is the prelude to this.
Correct. Yeah, it was one of the leaders, and it's brilliant. I've got to say that. Beyond that, the sport version, because look, you can get the Forester, same body, blah blah blah, with the 2-liter engine. Let's just talk here for call it 500,000. Yeah, 496. Okay, that's the base one. You get a higher spec one for 576, and then the Sport with a bigger engine, which is the main difference. There are a few other things. I think the wheels are an inch bigger, and that kind of thing, which we're not going to worry about now.
Sure.
Comes in at 611.
Yeah.
So there's your point there, where if it was up to me, I would take that one over the higher spec 2-liter.
Yes.
For an extra, what are we talking, 30 grand?
30 grand, yeah.
You can get the top spec, not Sport, so you ditch some of the red stripes and bits, for up to 669, again with the 2.5 engine. Yeah. So they're covering a nice range there. I mean, from 500 to 670.
There's something in for everybody in the range.
There is. And, do you want essentially it's the different engine, which is a big thing. And do you want a few extra luxuries or don't you?
Yeah.
Cars these days, I mean, even the base ones have got so much luxury. How much more do you really need?
Sure.
I'll go back to my point about the one has more Eyesight technology than the other, and I would pay some more money for that.
That's probably where the distinctions are starting to creep in. Is on those components.
Correct. But now you drove the
I must say,
Forester,
I'm not a fan of the gearbox. I must state that up front. But the rest of the car was wonderful. The drive quality on it was superb. It's the first Subaru I've actually tested or driven for an extended period of time.
Okay.
And I found out the interesting quirks are that it remembers when you've opened the back door.
Yes.
And it tells you to look for the shopping that you put on the back seat. Which
Well, a lot of cars are doing that now.
It was the first one that did that for me.
Okay, yeah.
The single button that you push to drop the seats at the back when you
Yes,
open the
that's
rear
it.
seat. How sensible is that?
Except for one problem.
What?
That drop was pretty vicious. So if you have
A small
little
there
child
that's not behaving, you can absolutely
you can
get
either
their-
whack them hard
get
or you
their
can
attention.
flatten them by accident.
Get their attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just be careful of that before you press that little
Sure.
button.
It dropped the seats with enthusiasm, but that was fine. I thought the fact that you could do that was
Yes.
was
Agreed,
was the touch.
Yeah.
And fuel economy wise, I thought it wasn't bad. Your 2.5 liter normally aspirated engine up here at altitude, it wasn't terrible. I was running mid eights.
Yeah.
Which was
No,
not,
look, but that's the
not
kind of car you don't worry about that when you buy it.
too much. Yeah.
If you want an econo box, go and buy an econo box.
Yeah.
You getting space, you're getting performance, you're getting safety, you're getting all of it, and that little bit of off-road ability, as I said.
And I have to say, it was surprisingly big.
Yeah,
I back it
yeah.
into the garage at night where my Landy used to take pride of place. There I had millimeters to get it in. Here we had maybe a couple of centimeters. So the car is actually quite large.
It is pretty big. And then just touching again on the all-wheel drive. Something that a lot of people don't quite get a lot of the time is all-wheel drive does not mean, as I said just now, you can go off-road.
No.
It's a safety feature.
Yeah.
Wet roads, etc., etc. You're through nice sweeping bends and mountain pass. It comes into itself there, and it's such a brilliant safety blanket.
It's traction control.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So just remember that when people talk all-wheel drive to you.
Sure.
It doesn't mean you're going bunda bashing.
No. Although it's a sort of car that I think I would rather go bunda bashing in than in my brand new Defender, because I just get the feeling that if I scratched my Subaru there, it would just shrug it off. If I scratched my brand new Defender, I wouldn't shrug it off. I'd be crying for weeks. So maybe there's something to be said for the Forester being at home in the forest.
Well, maybe. On that point,
Shall
I
we leave
think
it there?
it gets a thumbs up, there's no doubt. I often say I love the left field choice and the less popular choice.
I think in that segment, if you, as you say, if you're creating your shopping list,
Yeah,
it needs to be included and certainly looked at.
correct.
So give yourself all options.
That's it.
It may surprise you.
Okay. From Will and El,
And you got it right. Well done. Thanks, Al.
all I can say is see you next time.
Cheers for now.